Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalaki Bashai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent. And they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers, zealous of good works. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. And shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And everybody tuning in live to another Monday Night Fire, right? Current events, Fine 11, right? We essentially 3 weeks out till Passover, right? We're living in perilous times. We're living in times of judgment. We're living in times of alleged false flag, sleeper cells, oil prices going down, stock markets crashing, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, they're linking up all things that we read about and that we have been reading about. They're all coming to pass. Everything that we read about, everything that you see in the earth is biblical prophecy, and things are spiraling out of control, right? Things are spiraling out of control. And we want to do our due diligence to make sure that we're watching and understanding, what time we're living in. So we're going to touch on a few current events. Most High willing, everybody has been watching. Most High willing, everybody's praising Yahweh Shmi Shai. Let me get this first. Psalms chapter 47 and 1. Right? Most High willing, everybody's praising the Most High concerning his judgments in the earth. You got bombs dropping on the earth. You got so-called Jews. They fleeing the land. I'm seeing videos of the so-called Jew. He's fleeing the mountains because the airports are shut down. They're in underground bunkers right now, raping women, popping men, scared to death. This guy's Netanyahu, his brother's killed. There are allegedly, at least, this is what they're saying, over 500 American soldiers dead right now. Now, in the public, they're saying, look, it's only 6 to 7. But there are words, a word is going out from Germany, word is going out from Switzerland, other parts of the European Union that's saying America is having way more casualties than that they're telling the people out here in the States. So there's a lot going on in the earth, man. And I want to get this in Psalms chapter 47 and 1. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people, shout unto God with the voice of triumph. And this is us praising the Most High for allowing us to see the downfall of our enemies. It's a beautiful thing to just sit back and watch Yahweh shall work on our behalf and vindicate us, execute vengeance, and plead our cause. We don't have to do anything, right? In this war going on in the Middle East, we have no skin in the game. We're not looking for the oil. We're not looking to capitalize off of the financial system. We have no skin in the game, right? We are solely invested in Yahweh Bahashmi Shai and his truth and the kingdom of heaven. And it's written that that land is going to be utterly destroyed so we can get beamed down in that land and it can get built back up according to the law, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. So we clap our hands and praise Yahweh Bahashmi Shai with the voice of triumph. Verse 2. For Yahweh Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. And we're watching how terrible the Heavenly Father is. When you really get the understanding of the Most High, he is not your great-great-grandmother's God. He is not the God of your auntie. He is not the God of your great-grandmother, or your mother, or even your father, who was raised up in Baptist, Methodist, all these Christian denominations who have pacified them, made them effeminate, and sold them a God that was built on just being nice and just being full of love and full of care. And, he want to hold your hand, and he has a soft voice. And the Most High is terrible. That's what we're reading about. And there's no Christian speaking about these things. They're not going into the prophecies. They're not letting you know what's going on in Iran. Is in Joel, the 3rd chapter, Revelation, the 16th chapter, many other chapters in the Bible, 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. So these Christians, they don't know the Most High, neither do they know his words. Psalms 47:3. He shall subdue the people under us and nations under our feet. And that's what the Most High is doing. He is subduing the people under us. How is he doing that? First of all, he's using the angels. The angels are at work right now, and they're working mightily on the behalf of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. These are spirits working on the minds of Trump and these leaders and these Rothschilds, these different Rockefellers, these so-called Iranians. The Most High has spirits working on their minds that they may wage war against one another and bomb one another. He's subduing the people under our feet. And then it's like he's subduing the people under us and the nations under our feet, right? So this is a beautiful time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to thank the Most High. It's a beautiful time to examine our spirits. It's a beautiful time to know that this is the beginning stages of World War III. Now you got Trump, which we're going to get into. You got Trump saying the war might be over. The war ain't going to be over. Don't believe it. Don't believe the hype. He said the war is pretty much done. We're moving on to Cuba. This war ain't over. So the Most High say it's over. See, the Lord said in Lamentations, right? Let's get this in Lamentations, chapter 3 and verse number 36, right? It reads, I'm going to start at 37. Lamentations, chapter 3 and verse 37. Who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commandeth it not? The Lord didn't command World War III to be over with, man, and just bring peace in the Middle East and just say, well, everything's done. We did our job. No. Even if you try and attempt to de-escalate the matter, you would take your troops out. You say, look, we don't want to fight no more. It may happen for a month. It may happen for 6 months, 3 months, but eventually you're going to get brought back into a global conflict. World War III is inevitable. The war is not over. Well, Trump said the war is over. Hey, if you believe Trump, you'll die on Trump. We have the knowledge of the prophecies and the breakdowns, and we're very well convinced that this war won't be over till Yahushua returns. That's when the war is going to be over. When he returns and subdues the people. So you can't come out and declare peace with the Most High. He declared war. Remember, the Lord said he declared war with Amalek from generation to generation. Let's get this in Exodus. This Exodus chapter 17 and verse 16. For he said, because the Lord hath sworn that the Lord will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So as long as these people are in power, as long as they're alive, as long as they're here, the Most High will have war with them. It's not a matter of, well, Trump said the war is almost over. We're just about done. This devil's proud, man. He gave a speech a few hours ago, and he said that we're pretty much declaring victory. On one side of his mouth, he said we need the Iranians to surrender. Then on the other side, he said, we're declaring victory. Then you got Iran said, we're here for a long time. We want a long war. They came out and said, we want a long war with the Americans. We've been preparing for this for 45 plus years. They asked, well, how do you feel about troops coming to Iran? The Iranian general said, bring it on. And he kind of starts smiling. We're hearing all types of things going on out there, man. That there are ships being blown up. Iran's blowing up American ships. They're blowing up their radio stations. They're taking heavy losses out there. Now, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, these local news media outlets that are owned by the so-called Jew, they are not going to give you the real deal about what's going on out there. They're not going to give you the real deal. They're owned by the same people who are funding and starting this war. So we understand through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai, pursuant to Second Ezra, let's get this, that the fire is kindled and it won't be put out, right? Yahweh Shai said that as well. Let me get that first, right? Let's get Luke. Then we're going to touch on these current events going on in the earth, right? This is what Yahweh Shai said. He said it best in St. Luke chapter 12 and 49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? And the Lord is kindling that fire. It's already kindled. That's why you have these Arab countries, America telling their people, we need you to leave Turkey right now. They're telling their people, if you're on an embassy, a United States consulate building, if you're a tourist, we need you to leave Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar. They're telling them, leave the countries now. If they already won the war, why are they telling them to leave the area? Shouldn't they say, don't worry about anything? We've defeated the enemy. Iran has been subdued. Their soldiers are wasted. We have taken over. Why are you still telling your American citizens and public officials that they need to leave right now? Because they understand, well, we understand that this war is not over and a fire is kindled. Right? Let's go to 2nd Ezra chapter 16. So these devils, they play games for the people. They manipulate. I was talking to brothers about that. They say that to manipulate the stock market. Right? Oil was going up. You know, it was almost hitting, I believe, like 150. And then it just plummeted down. As soon as he said the war is about to be over with, all of the oil began to just crash. So a lot of these things these devils say to manipulate the market and make their rich friends richer, but they have no intent in stopping that war. Esau can't stop the war, even if he wanted to. It's not up to him. See, the Lord said, before I get that, let's get this in Isaiah 30, right? It's not up to him. Isaiah chapter 30 and verse number 28. And his breath, as an overflowing stream, shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. So the Lord has a bridle, which is something you put on a horse, to pull it in the direction that you want it to go. The horse may want to go left. You pull it with the bridle, it's going to go right. The horse may want to go right. You pull it, and it's going to go left. So the Most High has a bridle in the jaws of these beasts, these people. And he's doing what? His purpose is to cause them to err. So there's nothing that they can do about it. There's no bouncing back. For anybody that think the housing market is going to get better, unemployment is going to get better, things are going to turn back to the golden age of America, we're telling you it's not. I know some people, even in Israel, unfortunately, they really want this place to continue. They're kind of really low-key hoping that things go back to normal because they really love it here. Some people are really hoping that there's some type of peace treaty, that there's some type of a resolution. And if that's in your mind, then you're not going to make it. Because the Most High said, set a sign upon all the men that sigh and cry, or set a mark upon all the men that sigh and cry for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So if you're sighing and crying for all the abominations, that means you want the abominations to stop, to cease by means of the return of Yahweh Shah. If you're not sighing and crying for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, and you're getting off on this society, and you have secret intentions for it to continue, then you're not marked by Yahweh Shah. You're marked by Satan. You're marked by Satan on the left-hand side, right? So you have, let me pull this up first in Second Ezra. Then I want to get to some of these current events. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 4. A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and who is he that may drive them away? So the fire is here. Iran just came out and said, you know what? We've used a few of our, level 1 missiles. We're going to start using our top tier missiles. They're telling them we want a long war with Babylon the Great. These Americans, they don't want to fight this war. I went into it on the previous code cut I did. They're breaking their own Marine veterans' arms. They're breaking their own arms. They're doing TikToks and videos crying on why they have to fight the war for the so-called Jew. So again, if you believe that America won war, they won a war against Iran, then you don't know the Bible. It's beyond you not knowing current events. You just don't know the scriptures. Because the prophecy tells you that they're going to die in that land. Now, although there are going to be times where there's going to be times and moments where conflict may not be as hot, but nevertheless, to think that America has won the war when God ordained them to be destroyed is utter ignorance. It's utter ignorance. And we're going to touch on that, right? We're going to touch on that. Now, this is the United States has announced the withdrawal from military bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Syria, and several Gulf countries. Footage circulating papers appears to show signs suggesting that Iran have already gained the upper hand in the war, right? So you have soldiers being allegedly, we're still verifying some of these things, being asked to leave. America's getting a lot of these guys out of here, right? You have, where's this at? It's another one I wanted. This is the one, right? Iran's supreme leader advisor told CNN in Tehran, there is no longer any room for diplomacy. Prepare for a long war. So, who's telling the truth? Did they really win this war already? No, they didn't. This is the son of their previous supreme leader, and he's just like his father. He said, prepare for a long war. And that lines more so up with biblical prophecy. That lines more up with biblical prophecy because you're going to have more and more nations poured into that region, right? More and more nations poured into that region. Let's get the classic in Joel. Actually, let's get this in Second Ezra, the 13th chapter. The Most High tells you what's going to be going on in that region just prior to the return of our Lord Yahushua. This is Second Ezra, chapter 13 and verse number 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. So you're going to have, this is global war. You have Nordic countries, you have like Slovakia, Norway, Denmark, Sweden. You have Switzerland, they're getting involved. Switzerland condemned America. England and France, they're double-minded. They're not really backing up America, but they're sending people down there. Macron, who's the leader of France, he was talking and saying, well, if you attack one European country, you attack them all. So Europe is definitely going to get pulled into this thing. And it's beautiful that we don't have to rely upon waiting on what these worldly puppets have to say to know what's going to happen. We already have the script. We have the cheat code, which is the Bible. We have the cheat code. So this is going to allow us to determine who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. So again, for the seventh time, if anybody comes out and says we won the war, no more war, it's over with, then again, the Bible doesn't align with that. And that's going to be what we're going to hold you to. Are you being held and fulfilling what's written, or are you doing your own thing? And right now, Trump and these world leaders are convincing the people as they manipulate the stock market that they have won and that there's nothing to worry about. Now, let me get this. See if I can find this. Macron, you attack one EU country. Let me see if I can get this. I just want to see if I can find this quote. Let's see. Right. 5 hours ago, 10 hours ago. Okay, here you have it. Macron says, and you can look this up on other sites as well. This is from ECAT the Marini, right? Macron says an attack on Cyprus is an attack on Europe, right? That was today. He's the world leader of France. Now, Iran is shooting missiles and they're aiming everywhere. Now, if Iran shoots a missile and attacks a European country, we know that Article 5 is going to be instituted. First, Article 4, then Article 5. Article 4 is where they have a council and determine what their next step is going to be. Article 5 of NATO is the policy that says if you attack one NATO country, then all the other NATO countries are obligated to respond. They have to respond. Right? So it's only a matter of time before that is actually instituted, because that is a policy that's going to lead to Europe being dragged into this at once, this regional war. For brothers that may not be familiar with Article 5, let's pull that. Article 5 NATO. Right, we'll just get it in brief. Article 5 for NATO is the core collective defense clause of the North Atlantic Treaty, stating that an armed attack against one member is an attack against all, requiring a joint immediate response, and invoked only once after 9/11. It allows members to take action, including military force, to restore security. So that's the rhetoric, and that spirit is what he's in. He is talking in the spirit of Article 5. You attack one, you attack us all. Now, let's jump down a little bit. The leaders of France and Greece, meeting with the Cypriot president on Cyprus, pledged Monday to defend the European Union island republic against any attack amid the U.S. and Israeli bombardment of Iran. And we'll see. See, the Most High, he's going to do his will. This is what Macron said. And the Most High is going to do his will. And we want them to do it. The next time they shoot a missile at Cyprus, get into this thing, man. Get involved. Kick this thing off. We want all of these European Union countries down there in the Valley of Decision. Spain, we want France, we want Germany, we want all the 7 heads and the 10 horns. French President Emmanuel Macron voiced, quote unquote, full solidarity with Cyprus, where a suspected Iranian retaliatory strike with a drone hit a British military base this month, causing minimal damage and no injury. So Iran is firing off all, on all cylinders. Now, some of these people are saying it wasn't Iran, it was Israel, the state of Israel. And they're doing attacks, blaming Iran to stir up Europe to get them to go to a war. So you're going to have these spirits gathering these nations unto this battle. Let's read a little bit more on this. In response, and Emmanuel Macron, you know, he do a lot of talking, right? He's a well-known homosexual and a drug addict, and he's married to a man. But you know, he do a lot of talking. We don't see too much action, but he do a lot of talking. So let's jump down a little bit. He might mean this. Let's see. In response to the drone hit, Greece and France have sent warships and other military assets to the eastern Mediterranean island, while other EU members have pledged similar support. When somebody attacked Cyprus, they attacked the whole of Europe, Macron said after his talks in the western port city of Paphos with Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis and Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulides. We stand at your side. Mitsotakis said the three leaders meeting sends a joint, clear, loud, and decisive message of unity and solidarity, right? Unity and solidarity. So back in Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, you're going to have this time where Europe and the kings of the East and all these nations, they're going to get pulled into this war. So do we really care that Trump said that he thinks the war is over? No. Now, of course, that plays a role on global events, but it doesn't stop the prophecies. The scriptures cannot be broken, right? The scriptures cannot be broken. Let's go to Daniel. Let me get a quick precept, right? Yahushua said that. He said the scripture cannot be broken. This is Daniel chapter 4. Actually, I want 4 and 17, right? Daniel chapter 4 and 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basest of men. And this was told to Nebuchadnezzar, who came into his palace and said, I built this by the might of my hands. He didn't give credit to the Most High. So the Most High had to remind them that you're just a man and I'm the Most High. And people have to realize that the kingdom of men represents all these nations. China, that's part of the kingdom of men. There's the kingdom of heaven, where the spirits dwell at, the celestial angelic bodies. Then there's the kingdom of men and its terrestrial realm with earthly kings and earthly devices. Russia, China, America, all these heathen, they're part of the kingdom of men. We're our own kingdom. We're the kingdom of God. They're the kingdom of men. And the Most High is telling you that what? It says, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So he's calling the shots. You can't say, like I read in Lamentations, the 3rd chapter, something's going to come to pass or not happen if the Most High didn't say so. He's the one building the bombs. He's the one gathering the tanks. He's the one stirring up Europe. He's the one stirring up Iran. He rules in the kingdom of men. And he gives people positions of power as he deems fit. That's why Trump is in office. The Most High put Trump in office. Oh, well, I voted and the Republicans. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the power and will of God, who set this man up as a madman to cause Egypt to stagger like a drunken man. Right? So let me go back to this. This is Trump says that America will go to war with Cuba next after the war in Iran is finished. So these devils are proud. They're proud. And they can't stop murdering. They can't stop killing. They can't stop raping. This guy, first of all, this guy's a well-known child molester, and nobody's doing anything about it. He's an actual felon, a criminal, a bloodthirsty beast. And he's saying, well, after we're done with Iran, we're going to go to war with Cuba. Your soldiers in the Middle East, they're going to die in the Middle East. There might not be a war with Cuba. You're going to have to answer to China. You're going to have to answer to Russia. You're going to have to answer to North Korea. You got enough on your plate. You so proud, you're worried about Cuba. You're worried about all these different nations that don't support your homosexuality, that don't support your democracy. They don't support your child molesting, your sex trafficking. They don't support your foreign policy. That's why you're looking to take these nations down. Right? Let's go to Revelation, the 13th chapter. Right? Revelation chapter 13. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse number 11. It reads, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And right now, the so-called white man, he had his days when he spake like a lamb. You know, he had his days he was coming off in the name of God and in the name of, the Puritan Europeans and the pilgrims, the separatists. But Esau is showing his horns like a dragon. He's speaking very, very, very violently. We've never seen America speak like a dragon so much. You got the Secretary of War saying we're going to beat them and kick them when they're down. We're going to kill, kill, kill. The White House is making montage videos about them blowing up buildings, blowing up drones, taking clips from different Hollywood movies that are about war and using that for propaganda. They're speaking like a dragon. They call it talking spicy, man. And normally America comes off with policies and talk in the media so the people don't know their true intentions. Remember, they came out and they went into the Middle East and it was under the pretense of, okay, there are weapons of mass destruction. We're going to Iraq. We want to free the people, weapons of mass destruction. Okay, we're going into Afghanistan, right? What's this guy? Osama bin Laden, right? He's up there and he's hurting women and children. And at one time, the people, that galvanized the people under alleged righteous cause. The people believed that their country was fighting in righteousness and for the welfare of all mankind. There was a time, but now those days are over with. The Lord said, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So due to the age of the internet, the age of rapid information, right? Access to information, the Most High got a spirit on Edomites that's no longer content. Whistleblowers revealing things about this devil. Now people are beginning to realize who this devil really is. And he's no longer saying, okay, we're going there for weapons of mass destruction. I just heard this devil say they got gold and we want their gold. We need their uranium. We don't want their oil right now. We'll get it later. He's speaking as a dragon. He's showing his pure, true colors. Let me get that first. Knowledge shall be increased. Right? He's coming out telling you straight up what time it is, man. Daniel chapter 12 and verse number 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Even to the time of the end, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. and knowledge is being increased, man. There are so many people bringing out information about what's really going on that this devil can't even combat it. He wants to tell you that there are 6 American troops that died in the war. And the minute he put it out there, 1 minute later, 50 other witnesses say, no, that's a lie. There's actually 500 troops that died. Here's the proof. Here's the hospital. Here's the source. Here's the information. The devil come out and he say, the war with Iran is over. At the same time, or 5 minutes later, they're putting out information. Well, no, this guy's dead. And Iran said we want a long-standing war. And China, that they're backing them up. So this devil, he can't keep up anymore. He can no longer shroud the people in darkness. The Most High is taking that power away from him. See, the scriptures say that the nations were angry, right? Let's get this in Revelation 11, right? He's losing that ability to bewitch you. He's losing that ability to get you drunk. People have built up a tolerance and they're beginning to sober up. Even these heathen, they're beginning to sober up. They're going back to their ancient, those ancient spirits. Them Iranians are going back to their ancient spirits. Yeah, they got drunk for a minute in the 70s where they put, I can't think of his name, the previous leader before the Islamic Revolution. They had this guy in there and he let the Iranians get drunk. Let me pull that up. I got a lot, thinking of a lot. Most I wouldn't stay with me. Right? This was Iran back in the 70s. Right? And why are the women out there? Because they was drunk. That's when they had no clothes on. They put a leader to give oil to England and give oil to America and give oil to Europe. Somebody that supported American foreign policy. And he brought American wine to the Elamites and Ishmaelites, and they were drunk. So there was a time where the women were immodest. They were whoring out there. The men, they was freaking off. And, people are wondering what happened. They were such a better place. Iran was a better place before the Islamic Revolution. Says who? Says the so-called white man. The only people that say things like that are the people that have that westernized, drunken mindset. He brought wine to the people. The people got drunk. They had the revolution and they took all the wine bottles and they poured them out. And they made them drink waters out of their own cistern. Let me get that too. Right? They made them drink waters out of their own cistern. First, let me get the wine. I'm going to get the wine, precept, most I willing. Then I'm going to get the cistern, Lord willing. Then I'm going to go to Revelation, the 11th chapter. We got a lot we got to get into. And we got some current events through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse number 15. Some say Habakkuk, right? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that puttest thy bottle to him, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. So that's what the so-called white man does. He'll take this wine, like I got a water bottle right here. And normally, in the ancient world, people would ask you, hey, do you want some wine? And you have the right to refuse. You have the right to accept. It's your decision to say if you want wine or not. The wine represents the philosophies, the foreign policies, and doctrines of America. And they don't ask you, do you want to accept democracy? Can we come over here and give you Christianity? Can we set up a Walmart? Can we teach your children how to be upstanding first class or first world citizens? They don't teach you that. I mean, they don't ask you. They do it by force. They'll come out, destroy your banks, and build an embassy, a military base, and say, this dollar right here, we're going to loan you money out the Federal Reserve. We're going to have the World Bank and the IMF maintain your dollar supply. And you're going to use the dollar. If you think about trading in any other currency, something's going to happen to you. Matter of fact, while you got that dollar, we're going to build the church right here. Matter of fact, all your school system, we're thinking about changing that. Here's these new textbooks, and we want them to learn like this. And your women, them stores, we're going to get rid of all them stores with modest apparel. We're going to put Forever 21s and lewd stores, and these are the only things that your women can buy. We're going to introduce pornography to you, right? We're going to introduce violence in Hollywood to you, and we're going to condition you to be just like us here in America. That's what this means. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him. So you force the bottle down his throat, and makest him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And this is the reason why America does what they do. They're so perverse. They're so lewd. This is such a filthy, demonic kingdom that they do this because they want to look on your nakedness. Your nakedness represents you not having a covering. And the only covering really is the covering of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Now, even if these nations may not be covered by the Spirit of the Most High, they have their own so-called ancient customs. And a lot of these nations have a sense of morality to a degree. To a degree, right? America completely doesn't, but these nations, to a degree, they do. You know, their women may be covered up, or they may have, honor in the household and respect to the elders and things like that. But America wants them to get rid of all of that so they can be completely naked. Let's get a quick precept on being naked. All right, let's go to 2 Chronicles. And then they want to cover you, right? They want to actually, I believe I want 2 Chronicles. Let's see, Salakia. I may get this in Exodus. All right, bear with me. America, then they want to cover you up with their own philosophies, right? With their own doctrines, with their own confusion. All right, let's go to 1 Chronicles. Actually, we'll do Exodus. All right, we'll get a quick precept. Exodus chapter 32 and 25. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. And why were they naked? Because they were in sin. They built a calf, called it God, and they lost the covering of the Most High. That is the nakedness, right? Being without a true covering. Revelation chapter 16. Revelation chapter 16 and 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So you want to watch over your spirit, examine your spirit, and keep your garment. Don't let the so-called white man do to you what he's doing to these other nations, stripping them of their garments and getting them drunk off of the wine. Keep your garment intact. So he's getting them drunk with their wine and making them naked so he can stare at them, right? So he can stare at them and get them to follow his customs. That's his point, right? And that's why he's going to war against these nations that aren't accepting his wine. And these nations are beginning to sober up, right? They're beginning to sober up. And they're beginning to realize that they made a huge mistake accepting America. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, small and great. It's and to the saints and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. You see that? So the Most High said that the nations were angry. China's angry. Iran is angry. Russia is angry. Europe is angry. The Arab nations, they said, we're taking trillions of dollars out of our investments in American business. Who told you that you could bring a war over here? Even American allies, they're angry. Let's go to Proverbs 5 and 15. I want to get this too. Proverbs chapter 5 and 15. Drink waters out of thy own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. So in the ancient world, you had a cistern, which was a place where you drew water out of. And you were at a set time, you would go to that cistern and you would drink and gather water, bring it back to your house or bring it back to your tent. Used it for your animals, and you had to drink water out of your own cistern and running waters out of your own well. If you don't drink waters out of your own cistern, if you don't drink waters out of your own well, you're liable to get sick. You can get sick, you can get diarrhea, you can vomit, you can be nauseous because your body is used to the water and your set city or your set country. A lot of times people travel to Mexico, they travel overseas and they drink water and they throw up. They have migraines and it ruins their entire trip because their body isn't used to what's in that water or what's not in that water, should I say. So same thing in the spirit. When you come to serve Yahweh Shema Shai, make sure you're drinking the water that the Most High gave you, which is the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the precepts. Don't go and drink water out of the Arabs. Now you're reading the Quran. Don't go and drink water from the Moabites. Now you're a Buddhist. Drink waters out of your own well. Right now, these nations, they're drinking water and drinking wine from the so-called white man, right? So they came out, where's this at? Let me get this one. Hold on. There's a lot we want to get. Yeah, this guy. There is no longer any room for diplomacy. Prepare for a long war. And it is going to be a war. It is going to be a war through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Another thing going on. This is something that brothers have to really keep watch of. False flags. You have looming threats of false flags. This is from the New York Post and there's other sites as well to verify the credibility of this information. Iran sends out suspected operational trigger. Sends out suspected operational trigger to activate sleeper cells abroad, commonize death, U.S. official warns. Now, you may ask yourself, well, why is that important? What does that mean? Well, first, this smells and reeks of a major false flag. This looks like an inside CIA PSYOP deal to bring about martial law, bring about the usage of these internment camps that they bought, and ultimately come after the Israelites. Right? So these devils, man, they're master deceivers. Let me get a quick precept in Job 12. And we're going to touch on, why am I saying that they're a deceiver? What's a sleeper cell? We're going to touch on that. Right? This is Job chapter 12. And we'll start at, this whole thing is good. Right? Let's start at verse number 5. Right? Job chapter 12 and 5. He that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp despised in the thought of him that is at ease. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure, and to whose hand God bringeth abundantly. America is a tabernacle of robbers. right? This is a house of thieves. This is a household of men that are deceptive, that are liars. They have robbed people's understanding of what's really going on in the earth. They have robbed people's capacity to think for themselves. They have robbed you of the truth, who the Most High is, who His chosen people are, who Yahweh is, what true currency is, what wealth is, what true peace is. They robbed you of what's real food. They ain't just take your money. They robbed you of reality and gave you an American delusion. They gave you a delusion. This is Job chapter 12 and 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. So the deceiver is, in this context, the American government, who's telling you all of a sudden Iran has sleeper cells in America. The deceived are the people who believe that. Both parties, whether you fall victim to the deception or you're the one that's causing the deception, both parties belong to the Most High. He is the one causing these things to happen. So these devils are bringing about massive deception by the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah. So what is a sleeper cell? Let's pull this definition up. What is a sleeper cell? Right, for brothers that may not be and sisters, right, that may not be familiar with that definition. A sleeper cell, a secretive group of spies or terrorist agents that remain inactive within a target population until ordered to act, right? Let's get another definition. I like the I read the AI overview definition. I like that one. I looked up earlier. Okay, I don't want sleeper cell AI. Sleeper cell definition. The first definition was good, but okay, here it is. I like this one. Right, I was looking this up on the plantation. It says a sleeper cell is a covert group of individuals, typically agents, spies, or terrorists, who infiltrate a target country or organization and remain inactive. That's where we get the word sleeping from, because they're inactive for extended periods. They are designed to blend seamlessly into the local society, working jobs, raising families, and living normal lives to avoid detection until they receive a signal or instructions to activate and carry out acts of terrorism, sabotage, or espionage. So, according to the so-called white man, first of all, the so-called white man is a damn sleeper cell. Every so-called white man is a terrorist. Every so-called white man is into sabotage, extortion, blackmail, murder. This, as I read this, as I think about it, this defines every so-called white man in America. They work jobs. They're working jobs, but on their IP address, they're looking up child pornography, if you understand. Right? They'll be in a movie theater and they'll take out an AR-15 and shoot everybody in the movie theater. You'll be at Walmart, get some damn canned corn or something, and a so-called white man unzips his book bag, takes out an M16, and starts blowing people damn brains on aisle 6. He's the true sleep. I don't want to hear a damn thing about anybody being a sleeping cell or a sleeper cell. Every so-called white man is a terrorist. They're murderers. They're liars. They're thieves. And all it takes is for them to be activated, you know? And whatever activates them, man. They be having manifestos, school shooters. When the last time you had a Jake school shooter? I ain't seen one. When the last time Jake went into a damn airport, man, and let loose? I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but Esau, you take the cake. You act like you live in a normal life. These Edomites, they be at your job. They might be your manager. They might be your co-worker. They might be your supervisor. They might work in another department. It's only a matter of time before they do something lewd or say something off. Let me get this in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. Let's get the classic. Right? But he wants to call the people of their I'm getting excited, Salakia. He's saying, to get back to the point, he's saying that there are people from Iran who live in America who work at jobs like you and I. You might bump into them by accident at the bank. They might hold the door for you, going into the supermarket. But really, they've been here for 10 years, 15 years. And they're going to get some text message, some signal, some message that says with a code name and is Arabic. And then they all of a sudden blow themselves up or blow up a government building or assassinate some political official. They want the people of America to be conditioned to believe that the threat is the Iranian man and not the white man molesting their children at these schools, or these white women molesting children at these schools, man. They want to take the spotlight off of their president, who is a well-known felon who told a so-called white girl, I'm going to show you how little girls are supposed to act. Unzipped his pants, got bit, and punched her in the face. They don't want you to think that they're the threat. They want you to think that there are covert Iranians who live amongst us, who's all of a sudden are going to activate and cause all manner of mayhem. When I see a so-called white man, I lock my door. The so-called white man, nobody's a threat ultimately because we believe Yahweh Shemi Amashai. We know that there are angels about us, but the so-called white man is more of a threat than an Iranian to me. I lock my doors when I see a so-called white man. I clutch my bag. If I got my book bag, I clutch my book bag. And a white man coming down the street, I cross the street. If I got my children, I'm holding their hands tight when I see a so-called white man. I'm on edge. Because at any given second, he's going to do something off. Genesis chapter 3 and verse number 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath the Most High said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. So that same spirit that was in the serpent is on the earth right now. This is an age of deception, deceiving the people, manipulating the masses. This is part of his witchcraft and part of his sorcery. Right? Let's get that in Nahum, chapter 3. So watch out for this propaganda. And we're going to touch on this, man. We're going to touch on it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Yahushua. So the hell with the so-called white man and him talking about the sleeper cells. Watch out for the sleeper cells. This Nahum chapter 3, and he's doing that. We see right through you devils, man. We know why he's doing that. He's doing that, first of all, for his propaganda to condition the American public to support his war against Iran. He did the same thing in World War II with the Japanese. He said that the Japanese, they were in America and California, Hawaii, Arizona, New Mexico. We have to lock them up in internment camps. The only difference between the 1940s and now is that the Most High has so much information out here where you can't really beguile these people anymore like that. You know, you can't really give even these Edomites, man. You can't even really give a lot of them the okie doke anymore. Nahum 3 and 4. It reads, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. So the whoredoms and the harlot represent America and their actions. They are the well-favored harlot, the beautiful golden kingdom, the land of the free, home of the brave, American Pie, the New York Yankees, baseball, July 4th, fireworks, white picket fence, 2 children, a golden retriever, American flag, live in a cul-de-sac, 9 to 5, 6 figures, apple pie in a windowsill, Johnny Spot On 4.0, drive-in movie theaters. This was that American image and dream, Slakia, that was sold at one time to the people of the earth, right? This was sold to the people of the earth, and they bought it. And America at one time was that well-favored harlot. They're beginning to age, and as you age, your looks tend to fade away. Your body, her body is not as appealing as it was in her youth. She's, her body is sagging, and she's getting wrinkles, and things ain't tight like they used to be, and she has to put a lot more makeup on to cover her flaws. This is all if you got ears to hear. So she's not as well favored as she used to be. She's still kind of, some nations, they still kind of look and they want their turn, but she's definitely not as well favored like the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. The Bible also calls her the mistress of witchcrafts. Yes, she does actual witchcraft. They have actual child sacrifice, actual warlocks. The Food and Drug Administration is rooted in witchcraft. The monetary system, the media, all this is witchcraft. That article and them trying to convince you about sleeper cells, and that is witchcraft. Because they're trying to work on your mind and manipulate you. Manipulation is witchcraft. And some people are being bought into this thing, entire families. Right? Entire families are being bought and being deceived, man. This is Revelation chapter 18. And let's read verse number, let's start at 23. Revelation chapter 18 and 23. And I want to go back to that article right afterwards. Revelation 18 and 23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Right, so let's break it down. The Most High said that the light of the candle shall shine no more at all in thee. The light of the candle represents the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding of America. That's why they're called Lucifer, which is the light bearer. And all nations, they looked at their own diet, their own customs, their own leaders. They looked at their own lifestyle as darkness, and they looked at America. And they fought tooth and nail to come to America because they believed here American policy and religion and the lifestyle was indeed the light. See, the Most High said that no man putteth the light of the candle and putteth it on a bushel. This is Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it. Actually, let's read 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Now that represents us. We're the light of the world, and it's our job to bring the people out of darkness to this truth. Starting first and foremost with the elect. Once we're delivered, then the Most High and the kingdom will send us out to get the nations in order. Esau, he wants to be the light of the world. He wants to be the city that is set on a hill. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually an American philosophy called the city set on a hill, which was a philosophy that America used to say God is endorsing us to take down all other dark races and dark nations. We have a God-given right to take America and take over the world. We are that city set on a hill, right? Let me get that real quick. City set on hill, American. Let's say America. See what comes up, right? Check this out. A City on a Hill originates from John Winthrop's 1630 sermon, a model of Christian charity. So while we were in slavery, getting raped, robbed, and murdered, as the true kingdom of God, Esau says, you know what? We're that new city on a hill. We're just getting started. And from the 1600s, this was them saying that we want to bring all people here to America. We want to conquer the whole world. From the 1630s, urging Puritan colonists to build a model, virtuous community in New England visible to the world. So the entire creation of America is for them to have a light visible to the world. So all nations, China, they can come here. The Italian man can come here. The East Indian man will be brought over here, right? The Ethiopian man will come over here. That's their city on a hill philosophy, right? Let me read that again. Urging Puritan colonists to build a model. Now, remember, these Puritan colonists were the same ones raping, robbing, and murdering the tribe of Gad. The Pequot Massacre, the Wampanoag Massacre. Urging Puritan colonists to build a model, virtuous community in New England visible to the world. The phrase, based on Matthew 5:14, symbolizes American exceptionalism, meaning America, let's get this, it's the top kingdom on the earth. Check this out. American exceptionalism this is part of their wine. This is part of their wine. American exceptionalism is the belief that the United States is uniquely superior due to its founding, history, and democratic ideals such as liberty and individualism. Rooted in the Alexis de Tocqueville era, this ideology suggests the nation has a distinct, positive role to play in global affairs. Let's read that again. This links up with Habakkuk 2:15, Habakkuk 2:4, Nahum 3:4, Revelation 18:23, right? This ideology suggests the nation has a distinct positive role to play in global affairs. That's why they're all over the world. They don't stay at home. Criticisms include its potential to justify imperialism or isolate the country from international norms. And that's America. America's main wine that they had to be the light of the world was American exceptionalism, which was rooted in their city on a hill philosophy. Back in Revelation 18. That's what this means in Revelation 18:23. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. We broke down what the light of the candle is. Its ability to shine is its ability to prosper through the media, through influence, through war, through politics. The Lord has taken away their shine. America is no longer the most exceptional country. People are looking at China now. Americanization used to be a thing. Americanization is no longer a thing. There was a time when the Greeks were in power. It was called Hellenization. It goes back to Hellas or Helen, which was another term for the Greeks. And Hellenization was the time where the Greeks influenced Greek culture and philosophy all over the world. That was Hellenization. Americanization is the same thing. But Americanization is no longer really a thing. People aren't really, they don't really want to be Americanized anymore. Americanization is, let's see, how do I want to type this? Is losing, let's see, it's losing power. Or is Americanization losing power? Let's see if they want to give us this. See that? Americanization is losing power as the US shifts from a unipolar, culturally dominant leader to one of several competing powers, so that their light is no longer shining. Key indicators include a declining soft power and attraction. That's why we went into she used to be well favored. She's no longer well favored. There's a declining attraction. With China emerging as a competitor alongside the rise of local alternative cultural exports and a tarnished democratic image. Shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. They have a tarnished image. The United States is facing a significant drop in its global popularity, with some surveys indicating China is now more popular in certain regions, marking a net negative approval rating for the US. Here's another part of their light not shining: cultural competition. American cultural products, such as movies and music, are losing ground to competitors from South Korea and China. And I've been noticing a lot of South Korean movies, TV shows, Squid Games, and other things on Netflix. These South Koreans are kind of taking over. These Moabites are taking over. You know, when Squid Games came out, that took America by storm. So these Moabites are taking over, right? Let's see what else they got. They got that K-pop thing. K-pop is big. Them K-pop artists are like the new Jakes, man. They taking over. They took and stole Jake music, and they're popular in America. Them K-pop artists, right? So you get the point, right? The point is their light not shining represents a reduction in American influence. It says, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all indeed. The voice of the bridegroom and the bride is the joy of America, right? Because marriage and that unity is the chief joy. So that represents all of the mirth of the society. And why won't the voice be heard? And what would take away joy from America? People are in debt more than ever before. The housing market is worse than it's ever been. People cannot afford to live. People are sleeping in parking lots, their cars. They can't get a job. They're working 2, 3 jobs. They can't pay off their mortgage. They can't afford to take their family out to eat at damn Denny's, man. Denny's, IHOP. They can't even afford to do that. So all mirth and joy is gone. It reads, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth. Their merchants represent the other countries and their corporations that do trade with America. So their merchants are people that export goods to America and accept America's limited imports. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And that's the point I really want: the deception. All people are deceived by the American media, which is owned by the so-called Jew. And then her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. So they murdered, I think I saw an article today, America murdered like 43 million people in the last like 3 years. Chiefly us. So yes, they're saying watch out for sleeper cells. which is a sign of a false flag. Don't be deceived. A false flag is an event that's used to stir up the public's perception of the government and give the government a reason to enforce a law, go to war, change a policy, change the financial system. But the event that was done under the spirit of guile and deception, right? Like 9/11, false flag. Um, the Pentagon being attacked, those are false flags, right? Let me pull up the actual definition. It's like a false flag definition. A false flag is a covert operation, act, or attack designed to look as though it was perpetrated by a party other than the one actually possible. So they'll say, oh, well, just keep watch. You might see a building explode or a politician die or a mass shooting or a detonation. And they'll say, oh, it's Iranian sleeper cells. We need to take drastic action, gather up all Iranians and gather up all other terrorist groups and hate group organizations. If you see them, turn them in. So that we might get thrown in that category. You know? We know these devils, they got MK Ultra, they got psyops and all types of working that they do on people's minds. And they might have a MK Ultra false flag event, some psychological operation, and they might blame an Israelite. Let me get this in 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. Right? Let's get this. So you got to keep watch. They just came out. I'm going to get this first. I'm going to tell you what they came out and did. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 1. Right? 2 Timothy 3 and 1. There's know also that in the last days, perilous times shall come. Let's go into this word perilous. The Lord said the last days, Salakia, perilous times shall come. The word perilous in the Greek is kalapos, and it reads, damn, check this out. It says, hard to do, to take, to approach, right? Hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous. It's like you're harsh, fierce, savage. Savage times are coming. Savage, people kicking doors down, martial law, Jacob's trouble, all hell breaking loose, savage. Let's get this actual definition. The Lord says savage times are coming. Right? Fierce, violent, and uncontrolled, wild, devastating, barbarian. Right? That's what the word savage means. Wild looking and inhospitable, uncultivated, like the earth. The earth is going to look uncultivated due to the bombs dropping, due to civil wars and race wars and looting and bombing and burning. The earth is going to be in a savage state. See, the Most High said in 2nd Ezra, go back to this. 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and 1. Right? 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1. To link up with that. Nevertheless, as concerning the tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. So you're going to have massive death. That's what this means. Where the Lord said that people on the earth are going to be taken in a great number. Taken is just the euphemism for saying put to death. Great number is thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, We're not talking about a school shooting or a mass shooting. See, this word mass shooting, they'll say 4 people died. It was a mass shooting. We're going to have to rewrite the definitions of what's going to be considered a mass shooting in the days to come. A mass shooting and massive death is going to be 1,000 people are dead. A bomb drop, 10,000 people are dead. 20,000 people are dead from the earthquake of war, from the bombs dropping, from nuclear fallout, radiation, massive casualties. That's what taken means. You know? How do you know that's what taken means? Let's get the precept. Because the brother might say, well, I don't know what that means. Right? Can you get the precept? We'll get the precept, right? We'll get the precept on what being taken, what that taken means, death, right? This is let's go to Matthew Slaki. I want 24 and verse number, we'll start at 39. Matthew 24 and 39. 38. We'll start at 38. Matthew 24 and 38. For as the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So they were taken away, which means they died in the flood. That's what taken means. Then shall 2 be in the field, the one shall be taken and the other left. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left. So in 2nd Ezra 5, the Lord said people are going to be taken in a great number. Many people are going to die by wars and famine and robbery and murder and injustice. Verse 2, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. So these are perilous times, savage, the land being destroyed, people being destroyed, right? These are the events. Let me get a riot in here, right? Shalom.
King.
Yahweh Shema Shabbat. Good, King?
Khan, all praise to the Most High. How you feeling?
All right, all praise to the Most High. So going back to the point, the Most High said that there's going to be harsh, fierce, and savage times. Right? Let's read a little bit more in this definition. Difficult, dangerous, furious, fierce, perilous, troublesome. That's 2 Timothy 3 and 1. This know also that in the last days, perilous times shall come. So these doubles having these false flags, you got to be mindful of this, man. Right? Let me get one more real quick. Let's go to Matthew 10. Right? This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse number 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues, and ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. So there has to be a build up to this. It's not just going to be you wake up, you're at work, and then people just come after you. No, people are going to be influenced by the media. Laws are going to be put into place. Decrees are going to be put out there. So if they do this false flag attack and they blame the Israelites, or they blame all these terrorist organizations, and they start utilizing these FEMA camps to round us up, we're going to be delivered up. We're going to be hated. The perception of the Israelites is already bad, but we're not hated of all men yet. So some things have to play out on the earth to change the perception of all people to look at us with utter hatred. Is it going to be false flag attacks, or is it going to, we don't know. Only the Most High knoweth, right? So Iran sent out possible operational trigger to activate sleeper assets abroad after the war with America and Israel began, according to an encrypted message intercepted by the US, whether that's true or not. Right? But you got it, King.
Con, that's right. And like the brother going into, man, it's gonna really heat up in the last days. So you want to make sure that you're increasing your faith and you're being vigilant and you're keeping in watch. Let's go to the mighty book of Second Esdras, right? Chapter 8 in verse number 50. Right, Second Esdras chapter 8 in verse number 50. It says, "For many great miseries should be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world." So a lot of miseries, man. A lot of people, they're going to be giving up the ghost. They're going to be having heart attacks, for the things that they see. That's in Luke 21. Man's heart is going to fail them. It's literally in a heart attack. You really thinking about it when something scares you, or whatever the case may be. People get scared of scary movies, man. You sitting up there having a heart attack when a so-called ghost is behind the door. How much more when things are prevalent right before your face? Remember the Egyptians, they were dying of fear. And Jake has never seen the amount of fear that you're going to see in the latter days of the earth, man. Right. So them Egyptians, they were dying. They saw pitch blackness. They heard noises of serpents and wild beasts. The things they perceived scared them more than the things that were actually in front of them. So what you're going to witness and the fear that a lot of the people are going to have on this earth, and they don't know where they're going to find food. They're going to never know if they're going to see their loved ones again. They're never going to know if they feel like they'll find somebody else in the truth when everything scatters. It says, and dwell in the world because they have walked in great pride. But understand for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. So the Lord said in the last days, man, you should seek out those that have the same spirit as you, man, that's walking in the faith. Two are better than one, so that you could join yourself together and praise the Most High in the last days, man. Right, let's go to the mighty book. Let me get one more real fast. Let's go to Luke chapter 20, right, in verse number 20. Right, and they mocked the Lord. They followed the Lord. They schemed against different things. This is the book of Luke chapter 20 and 20, and they watched him. So they're going to watch you. I was listening to this live, through the spirit as I was rushing off of work to get home. And, brother was bringing out some great points through the spirit. And it's a lot of things that they're going to witness against you. This is just what I believe. They could have been shut down this word. First and foremost, it's Yahawashi Yahushua. That's allowing the word to go out to the children of Israel that need it so they could keep watch. But also, when these lives are done, this thing is going up in the cloud somewhere. So they're going to recall all the people that are commenting. They're going to recall all the times we prophesied it. They're going to recall all the times that brothers brought the words out to condemn the United States of America, man, and said it boldly with our faces. And they're going to put those things before trial. Because humbly speaking, brothers have not committed any wickedness, treachery, or iniquity against, the rulers of this land, man. We apply Romans the 13th chapter. So their craftiness is going to have to move us, you understand, with their spirit of sedition, rising up another government inside of this government. And they're going to have to bring these accounts. They're going to have proof when they bring you before councils, before men. They're going to have witnesses, a judge, trial. They're going to condemn you. They have to pass laws. So it says, and they watched him and sent forth spies, which should feign themselves just men, that they might take hold of his words, that so they might deliver him unto the power of the authority of the governor. And just like, these red flags, you got to watch out for this thing, man. But more like embrace it, increase and understand that this has to come to pass, man. You got to meditate on that at least once a day, once a week. No, if not more than once a week, man. You got to be willing and getting your mind prepared that these are the days that are coming to pass. You got to be prepared to lose everything, man. Right? And losing things is bittersweet. It's like you don't want to lose your flesh, but your spirit wants to gain. And that's what this thing is about. You have to lose in order to gain the kingdom. Right? I want to get one more real fast. Yeah, one more real quick through the spirit. Let's go to the mighty book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse number 1. Right, 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse number 1. It says, this know also in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, right? And that's prevalently was set, and you can witness not only in this world, but chiefly within Israel, man. See, people already love themselves in this world. It's not a big surprise that it's the last days that there were movie stars, or there were athletes that took pictures and billboards and rap stars, man. A lot of people in this truth are going to turn away right from the humility and meekness under Yahweh Shem Yahushua to start to love their own selves under views, under lust of men to be able to have congregations, right? It says covetousness only after gaining and not after losing. Boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. And that's the spirit you got to watch out for in the last days, man. The Lord told you that. The love of many is going to wax cold. The natural affection is the love you would have for your brother, man. Brother drop his wallet. You know, the brother may have misspelled something. You correct them or whatever the case may be, man. That natural love and protection that you will have for your brother, man, and your sister. That's going to wax cold in the last days, man. A lot of people are going to be out just for themselves. It is what it is. Turning a cold shoulder. Truce breakers, false accusers, incontinency, fierce despisers of those that are good. Traitors. That's another spirit you got to watch out for, man. The alchemists, the Menelaus, the Jasons, right? Those spirits are back on the earth, the Judas Iscariots. The Lord said, like, it's going to be traitors, man. And it may very well be brothers you labor with and that you know. They're the ones that know the most about you. They know what spirit you in. They know where you go. They know your family. They know your whereabouts. They have the same mind as you at one point. So if it's anybody, just like Judas knew exactly where the Lord was, it's going to be these type of men. It says heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. And you got to watch that spirit, man. So easy to slip into a spirit where you loving your pastime too much. You're loving the cares and the enjoyment and the relaxation of this life because you work so hard, right? You done put in so much work and you finally get home, you want to relax, you want to unwind. But you got to watch that spirit, man. It's not just talking about just, you know, lovers of pleasure, just sexual, sensual, or things like that. That could be your own flesh, the relaxation mentality, the slothful mentality. You can't love pleasures of this world more than you love the Most High because you'll begin to put one above the other. But you got it, King.
Yeah, right. And, you know, you can't, like the brother was saying, you can't serve two masters, man. Right? You can't say, well, okay, I know World War III is going on. I know, you know, prophecies are unfolding. I know we living in the end of the world, but then you're still indulging in the flesh, right? You're still indulging in the flesh. I want to get this in Wisdom of Solomon, right? Let me go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 4th chapter, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? When these things come to pass, we're supposed to lift up our head, for our redemption draws nigh. We're not supposed to put our head down back in the earth and back in the world below, man. You know, the Lord said our conversation is in heaven, right? Jerusalem, which is above, right? So we're a people that's supposed to be looking up, and our eyes should be towards Yahweh Shem Yahushua, not toward the earth. You read even that remind me of even in history of Susanna. It tells you that those two wicked judges of Babylon, they wouldn't lift up their eyes to heaven to remember just judgments. They were too focused on the earth, man. Right? Let me get that first. Right? So you got to keep your mind on the heavens, heavenly things, right? And not carnal things. Where is this at? Susanna. Let me get this real quick precept. This is History of Susanna, chapter 1 and verse 9. Let's start at 8. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her, right? And they were literally walking in lust, sexual lust towards this man's wife. And we always know, and we go into it all the time, that lust can be a woman, but you can lust after, the brother said, you can lust after your pastime that you spending too much time on, right? You can lust after money. Right? You can lust after many things, and that lust can get inflamed. And once you're inflamed, it's hard to get rid of that lust. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes that they might not look unto heaven nor remember just judgments. And a lot of brothers, they don't look unto heaven. They don't remember Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shah. Their mind is perverted in this world. That's 1 John 2 and 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. For all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Right? That stuff is of the world, the scriptures say. And that world will try to pull you in and have your mind get all perverted. And you're not even thinking about the Most High. You're not thinking about the precepts. You're not thinking about just judgments. You're not thinking about how the Most High said it is a righteous thing to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. That's a just judgment. You're not remembering that this society is going to be destroyed. You have to remember just judgments and think about the heavens and stop thinking about the earth all the time. Right? I wanted to get this in Wisdom of Solomon 4 as well. Right? We have to look unto heaven. And kind of to the point, really going into the part of the lesson, Passover is right around the corner too. Don't be watching all of the prophecies and you got all this leaven in your spirit. Watch all of the prophecies, see the leaven in your spirit, and get rid of it. This Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4 and verse number, I'll start at 11. Wisdom of Solomon 4 and 11. I'll start at 10. He pleased God and was beloved of him, so that living among sinners, he was translated. So this goes into Enoch in one level. On one level, it's talking about the elect in the future. Enoch pleased the Lord and he was taken up in a chariot. That's what it means, he was translated. Yea, speedily was he taken away, lest that wickedness should alter his understanding or deceit beguile his soul. So the Lord had to hurry up and get Enoch out of that time. Otherwise, believe it or not, Enoch, his understanding would have changed and he would have become carnal and he would have been about the flesh. As much as that may be hard to believe, if that was going to happen to Enoch, if the Lord didn't take him away speedily, how much more us? We're no better than Enoch. So we need to get up out of here because this wickedness can really alter your understanding. And there's a lot of wickedness that you may not perceive as wickedness. And if you don't perceive it, your mind is getting altered. You might not think your job is wickedness, man. Here you are working 70 hours a week, man. And you haven't read in 4 days. You haven't fasted in 3 months. You have to, your understanding's being altered. Right here you are online doom scrolling for 3 hours straight. And you haven't picked up your Bible once. You haven't been to camp. You haven't done a work. Your understanding is being altered. Right? It reads, for the bewitching of naughtiness doth obscure things that are honest, and the wandering of concupiscence doth undermine the simple mind. So beware of the bewitching of naughtiness. It's going to obscure things that are honest, meaning wickedness is going to blind you from seeing the truth, right? Your mind is going to play tricks on you through deception to make you not understand that you should be walking in the truth. And if your mind wanders according to concupiscence and the lust of this world, it's going to undermine a simple mind. When you undermine something, let me get this definition real quick, and you got it, King. Like somebody may undermine your authority, right? Undermine. To erode the base or foundation of, lessen the effectiveness, power, or ability of, especially gradually or insidiously, to weaken, sabotage, wear away, eat away at, chip away. So what is this saying? If your mind begins to wander away from this truth, your understanding is going to slowly fade away. And that's what happens to brothers when they go back into the world. They're being bewitched and they don't see it. And they slowly wander into the world and their mind is here and they want to have this hobby and that pastime. They want to work this job and that job and do this, that, and the third. But they don't know that they're slowly fading away. Right? It reads, he being made perfect in a short time fulfilled a long time. For his soul pleased the Lord, therefore hasted he to take him away from among the wicked. So be mindful of these spirits, right? Satan is not, we say it all the time, he's not going to knock at your door with a damn red horns, man, in the tail and a jar of sin. It says sin, he got a big jar. It says here's sin. No, he's going to come through many ways and you have to identify it. But you got it, King.
That's right. Let's go to the mighty book of Psalm, chapter 35, in verse number 11. Right? Let's go to the mighty book of Psalm, chapter 35, and verse number 11. It says, false witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not. And again, going into these false flags and being delivered up and things getting real, this is going to happen. This is prophesied by David. It says false witnesses did rise up. You're going to have a lot of false witnesses against you, man. Friends are going to turn on one another in the last days. You know, man's foes are going to be them of his own household, man. God forbid, it could be your wife, it could be your own husband, your children deliver you up, man, your parents. So they're going to rise up against you and they're going to lay charges on you. These charges aren't going to be charges and laws of the Most High. They're going to be charges and laws of this land. And you're not going to know and be privy of them because they're creating them as we speak. As we speak, don't just think it's just geopolitics and war. They're also crafting up a way to grab you up, man. They're opening up detention centers, right? In FEMA camps. They're already doing it to the Northern Kingdom, right? In ICE. It says they rewarded me evil for good to the spoil of my soul. And all you did is good. All you did was prophesy. All you did was do lives. All you did was read. All you did was afflict your soul so that you can get closer to the Most High. All you did was tell the truth. But you're going to be rewarded evil, right? And getting locked up. You're going to be rewarded death. You're going to be rewarded these things of this society, man, when they rise up against you to kill you. Right? Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 12. Right? In verse number 12. Right? It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have a short time. So, I mean, when he's let loose, he's going to be let loose on them that keep the commandments of the Lord. So if you're keeping the commandments of the Lord, you got to make a decision, man. That's why when the Lord said, you can hold this real quick and get Luke chapter 9 and 67, Baba Gashar. Get this quick precept. Shalakia, 62. That's what I want. It says, and Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God, right? So, I mean, on one level, on a low level, I mean, looking back, you know, obviously you got things of this world, but a plow and you taking your hands off, it's a working instrument. That's what you break the ground with so that you can have a harvest. That harvest is the kingdom of heaven. So if you start to sow seeds, do work, right? Like many parables coincide together, like you working for a penny a day, you're getting hired into this vineyard. It's all coinciding into the same spirit. So if you take your hand off the plow, you're taking your hand off of the work of the Lord. You're taking your hand off of receiving your reward. You're taking your hand off of being hired and called to this ministry and to this vineyard. And a lot of people do that, man. And they don't realize they're taking their hand off the plow. When you take your hand off of the plow, you start to lose grip, man. That's the first sign of taking your hand off the plow. You don't just take your hand off the plow like the stove is hot, man. You cooking with grease and you go like that. You take your hand off of the plow. Having a plow, you have to have grip. And that grip is you being fervent. You being on fire for this truth, man. You traveling places you never did. You have faith. That's why you have such a grip to push and plow and do this work. But once it starts to get worrisome to you, right? You start to have a lot of wicked imaginations, rush your mind and alter it. You know, you start to lose that grip. And once you start to lose that grip, you know, Satan whispers in the back of your mind and you start to look back. You start to remember things. You start to want things. And your spirit stops looking ahead and you start looking back. So the Most High said you're not fit for the kingdom of heaven. Or you can go back to the precept, right, in the book of Revelation, right? I'm gonna start at 12 again. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and for the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So this short time he has to reign and afflict instead of fulfilling of being trodden underfoot for the time of the Gentiles. And that time is coming to an end, man. A lot of brothers are waking up. So this short time that he has, he's going to try to wipe out as many brothers as he can, as many sisters as he can in the spirit. Chiefly through philosophies and witchcraft, but it's going to be on a physical level too. So you have to prepare your mind to be a martyr. It says, and when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. So you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be chased, right? You're going to be hated. You're going to be an enemy of the state, man. Like they say, you're going to be an enemy of the state. And that's not going to be, easy. Nobody's up here telling you it's going to be sweet, it's going to be easy. All you have to do is remember 3 precepts and you'll fare well, man. Look at Ezra. Woe is me, woe is me. Job said, I wish that I were hidden in the grave. Right? I can get one more, King, in the book of Job. I believe that's 14. All right, let's go to the mighty book of Job, chapter 14. And I want to start at 13. It says, oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave. This is what Job is saying. It's not talking about a vacation. Hide me in the grave is through the afflictions and judgment and the things so that he could just resurrect the glory, man. It says, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past. What is the wrath being past? World War III. Judgments. Jacob's trouble. You have to read this in the spirit. See, when men fall asleep in this life right now, they've received their white robe. Their name is in the book of life. And they'll be the first ones resurrected to everlasting life. But those that have to endure unto the end, that's a greater lot to see the Lord and endure. But they're going to have to go through more tribulation, more trouble. It says, oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until thy wrath be past, destruction, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time. The set time is being redeemed and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come, man. And your change is going to come when you get translated, right? And you be translated out of this body and changed in the air, man. That's that change, in one fold, man. And we're changing every day through the spirit too. But everybody has to understand there's an appointed time on this earth for judgment. That's what Job is talking about. And even our fathers from old, Job, Ezra, Daniel, all these men spoke about the end of the world. A lot of them men fainted. They were in fear. So we're not telling you this thing is going to be easy. The Lord said, with much tribulation shall you enter into the kingdom of heaven. So in these days, you got to prepare your mind for tribulation and losing. Whether you've been catching hell at work, been catching hell, in the household, been catching hell when your infirmities, you're going to catch hell. Embrace it and pray that the Heavenly Father gives you a stronger mind, man. I was talking to the elder Tahar at HOI. He gave some great counsel and wisdom. He said in the last days is going to be the true fight is to stay sane. And, that really resonates through the spirit because you're going to go through so much and lose so much. A brother could take a punch to the face. Brother may take a punch to the chest. Brother may be able to flip a table and duck and roll. Brother may be able to put out a fire on him. That may be easy to him. He may be athletic. He may be able to jump, over whatever the case may, a fence and keep running, right? But the battle really is the mind. Are you going to give up? Are you going to cast in the towel, like they say, man? Are you going to deny the Lord? And all of that is mental in your mind through the everyday fight you have, as brothers already know, to stay in this truth. Not only stay in this truth, but be fervent in this truth. The truth is established whether you're in it or not. The truth is always be the truth, whether you agree to it or not. But to be fervent in it and to keep it is discipline. And that's something you got to fight to every single day. But you got it, King.
Con. And I want to pull up this other article I had through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Let me see if I can pull this up. I didn't get the link, but I saw it. What the U.S. strikes could mean. Let's see, Homeland Security. All right. Let's see if this pulls up. Okay, Con. Yep. So this is the Council on Foreign Relations, right? It says Iran and terrorism, what the U.S. strikes could mean for homeland security. The longer the war in Iran goes on, the greater the incentive for the Islamic Republic to apply all forms of asymmetric warfare, including retaliation that could affect U.S. homeland in hopes of coercing Trump to abandon his war aims. So I'm gonna read a little of this. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it's a part I want. It says after the United States and Israel began attacking Iran on February 28th, questions have arisen about the potential dangers for the U.S. homeland. The Department of Homeland Security has reportedly warned of potential lone wolf attacks and cyber attacks in the wake of the strikes, and state and local authorities have moved to heightened alert for any retaliation on American soil. A shooting in Austin, Texas over the weekend, in which 2 people were killed and 14 wounded, is now under investigation by the FBI as a potential act of terrorism. And that was a false flag. But reading on, this has further ramped up tensions and security concerns that have emerged in the United States since the strikes on Iran began. And we went into an article about the Department of Homeland Security recently purchasing warehouses to turn them to detention centers. Let's get that too, right? Detention centers. As of March 2026, the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement are rapidly expanding their detention capacity to 92,600 beds through a $38.3 billion plan, to convert industrial warehouses into detention centers nationwide. This initiative aims to establish a new hub and spoke system utilizing large-scale facilities for, on average, 60-day or less stays to accelerate deportation proceedings. So all this links up. It all links up that, okay, all of a sudden we got Iran, and then we can have threats on U.S. soil. That's from the Department of Homeland Security. At the same time, they're saying we buying up all these detention centers. Not only that, one more point. Remember, Trump said that he wants, by the month of April 2026, to have the armed National Guard in every state. He called them public civil unrest control groups, pretty much. And let me get that too. Trump, National Guard, April, right? I'm kind of winging it, so bear with me. 2026. Right, let's see. It came out. Here it is. The Trump administration is considering plans for a reaction force of National Guard troops to deploy quickly to American cities with signs of civil unrest. And he wanted to have all these out there by April 2026. So all this stuff is planned ultimately by the Most High, but he uses these devils for his will, right? He uses these devils for his will. Got the sleeper cells, detention centers, and the reaction force to kick off martial law to round up the children of Israel, right? Let me get a quick precept. Let's go to the classic and Second Esdras, right? Second Esdras. It's like I want chapter 16, right? So this thing is happening, man. Keep watch. It's not just, okay, well, Iran, Lebanon, okay, they getting bombed. Things going to heat up here soon, right? Second Ezra, Slakia, chapter 16. I want to get straight to the point. And verse number 67. Well, I'll get straight to the point. I'll read 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. So you're going to be constrained against your will to eat things offered unto idols, to partake in abominable feast, like in 2nd Maccabees 6, 2nd Maccabees 7, partake in humility, what they call them, humiliation rituals and things of that nature, right? And idolatrous sacrifices, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Here's the point. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. So he's going to have this reaction group task force in every city, right? So that links up. It says in every place, because they're going to be there in every place. And they're going to have a great insurrection. An insurrection is a violent overthrow of an established government. And we are a government. We are a kingdom. And they're going to overthrow, or attempt rather to overthrow, the government of Yahushua on the earth. Verse 71, they should be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And this madman spirit is here. Not like this time that we're reading about, but it's getting there. For Trump to come out and say, we want their uranium, we want their gold, we want to take their oil, that's crazy talk. They're not going out there and saying we want weapons of mass destruction, or we want to civilize the people. We want to give them running water. We want to teach them how to speak English. They're telling you straight up like madmen, and we sending them in, we want that uranium. And we need that gold. They just said we just came up on gold in Venezuela. $150 million worth of gold. So they're bold. They're no longer hiding it. They're like madmen. He said, Trump came out and said there's people in Iran walking around with no legs. So this devil, he's being more and more the devil as his kingdom begins to crumble. And when it gets to us, it's going to be no mercy. They're going to be shooting to kill and robbing us. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. So at that time, you're going to be known, are you chosen or not? If you endure that time, you got to endure all these times we up to now. All this light affliction at your job, maybe your marriage, your health, your woman, your children, your family, you know, whatever's going on in your personal life, really are small quizzes compared to the final test of Jacob's trouble. The Lord said at that set time, I'm going to know, oh, he endured. He stood stiffly for the name of the Lord. He didn't deny my name. You're going to be tested. We're all going to be tested. The same way that gold is tested to see if it's a valuable metal or not. Right? Is it going to come forth without the impurities? Here, O ye my beloved, said the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So this is not fear mongering. This is hope mongering. We're trying to condition you to have hope in the Most High. I will deliver you from the same. Not I might, or I'm thinking about it, or I'm flip a coin. The Lord said, I will deliver you from the same. So anybody that's nervous, you got anxiety, you know, you bite your nails, you don't know, the Lord said, I will deliver you. And the Most High is not like you or not. The Most High is not a man that he should lie, right? It's impossible for the Lord to lie. If he said he's going to deliver you, you're going to be delivered. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, said the Lord God. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. So if you struggling with sin, you went off and, hey, Time to get back up. Don't say it's the end all be all because I fell victim to lust today. Oh, I forgot to read today. It's no point in bending this truth. The Most High is not dealing with me. Cast off that weak nature and don't let your sins weigh you down. Get back up, put a plan together, and build your house. And brothers that did go off, don't say, well, I'm going to just keep going off. There's no point. No, stop sinning. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered over with bushes, and a path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through. It is left undressed and is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith. What you got it, King?
Come. Let's pull the mighty book of Isaiah, chapter 48, and verse number 9. That's right. Right, you got to believe that too, man. No matter how hard it may be through what you're going through. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 48 and verse 9. For my name's sake, I would defer mine anger. Right? We should have all been dead. We should have all been, still in captivity. But the Most High is merciful. So he said he's going to defer, meaning move away his anger that he had kindled against us. And for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. So, the Lord has already spoken it from past, right? That he will save you. He will deliver you. Right. Behold, I have refined thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction. So if you're chosen, you're only going to be chosen one way, man. You're not going to be chosen with the fineliest of garments. You're not going to be chosen with the most good, potent frankincense and myrrh. You're not going to be chosen with love and gladness and mirth. You're going to be chosen in a furnace of affliction. When you're going to go through it, man, you're going to constantly be pre-improved. Constantly. So if you're being proved right now, that's a good sign that the Most High is dealing with you now. Straight up. If you're not being proven, you're living every day comfortably, you're faring sumptuously, you may be of this world. And that's something you got to examine. Because the Most High is going to put everybody through something. Even Solomon in the days of his peace, the Lord still sent an adversary against him. Esau, right in the book of 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, verse 14 all the way down. Nobody is just going to have a good life. Even the peaceable ones that you can read about. David had peace. Solomon had peace. But they still caught hell. They still went through hell. So there's nobody that the Lord loves that he's not going to prove. Abraham caught hell, man. Imagine traveling and following the Lord through faith. We can talk about the Lord all day long and be as long-winded till we be delivered, Most High willing, man. But there's so much that everybody in this truth has went through. And you got to look at the times of your life. That's why Psalm 77 is one of my favorite chapters in Psalms. You got to remember the right hand of the Most High, man. You can get that real quick, King? You got to remember that, right? You have to remember the right hand of the Most High. You have to. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 77, and I want to start at verse 5. It says, I can consider the days of old, the years of ancient times. So you got to call to remind. The same thing Sirach said in 2 and 10. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with my own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. See, a spirit has to search these things out, man. What you're going through isn't necessarily your lot. It's not your end, what you're going through right now. If that were the case, then Jonah would have gave up, man. Imagine being in that fish's belly 3 days and 3 nights. That's hell. But his latter end, the Most High delivered him out of that. So what you're going through is not your end all be all at the end of your lot. It says, will the Lord cast off forever? Will he be favorable no more? And his mercy clean gone forever. Doth his promise fail forevermore? Have God forgotten to be gracious? Have he in his anger shut up his tender mercy? Salah. I've said, this is my infirmity. I got to deal with this right now, no matter what it is, how long it is. It's my infirmity, man. It's my lot right now. But I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. Like the Lord said through Job, though he slay me, I'm going to put my trust in him, paraphrasing. So you got to remember that, man. Remember the dreams. Remember the testimonies other brothers had. Remember the dreams other brothers had about you. The Most High love you so much, he put in their spirit to tell you, man. Because sometimes you may even doubt a dream you have about yourself, man. That's how merciful the Lord don't have to do that. Here this brother is minding his own business, right? And he have a dream about you, man. You being delivered. You washing your garment. You being on fire, man. Hey, I got this dream. You was on fire. I mean, I don't know what that means. You're literally on flames. You tell the brother, he cracking a smile for real, all praise to the Most High. All right. Think about spiritual suicide. Falling out the truth. To the Most High, tapped into his spirit to give you that flame of fire, man. Remember those things, man. Remember casting out demons, right, that you've done. Remember all of this, man. It says, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember, Slaki, I will remember thy wonders of old, man. And that's beautiful, man. You have to do that. That's your hope. What else you going to have? I mean, you can't see necessarily the salvation coming and you seeing brothers getting delivered. No, we're living in this time right now. So it's only so much you can see in this flesh. You got to remember the right hand of the Most High in these accounts, right? And two, don't just think that the accounts that we read about of the wonders of the Lord was just in the Old Testament. These wonders are coming back. These wonders are happening right now. War is a wonder. You understand? Prophecy is a wonder in Joel, the 2nd chapter. So don't just think the earth has to open up. Don't just think, something amazing has to happen that you read about for you to believe the same way that you should believe right now. Well, I'm going to get one more, King, in the book of 2nd Esdras, right, chapter 1 verse 37. Lord said, though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in the spirit they believe the things that I say. Right? It says, I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the things that I say. So you have to believe in the spirit, the things that the Lord has said, man. And that spirit, could fade from time to time. That spirit could, flicker. That spirit could, hide itself from you at a moment in time, but you have to remember. You have to and that goes into meditation. So the more you meditate about it, the more you remember it, the more it's fervent in the spirit, the more you're going to become that. As a man thinketh, so is he. Paraphrase. That's what the Lord said. So you want to always have that mindset. But you got it. You had something else.
No, you want
yeah, I could you bring out Revelation chapter 3.
Okay. Hey, real quick before you get that, Trump, they just asked Trump, they said, you said that the war is very complete, but your defense secretary said this is just the beginning. So which one is it? That's what they asked him. He replied and said, you could say both. So this place
just winging it.
Finished. Yeah, finished.
Just winging it. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse number 2. It says, be watchful, right? So that's a commandment. So for everybody that think, just not eating shrimp, crab, or lobster is the only commandment and grow out a beard, you're also commanded to watch. The Lord said, be watchful and strengthen the things that remain that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard. And that's going to the same thing through the spirit I just said, man, through the same precept. You have to remember these things. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard. So not only what you receive through meditating on the scriptures, but also what you heard. You heard testimonies, you heard accounts, you heard these things. You heard other brothers prophesy. It says, and hold fast. That's the testimony of Yahweh Shai. You have to hold fast and repent, right? So that you could be that virgin without spot, without blemish. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right? Like the Lord said, like we just read in the book of Job, that appointed time, that hour is coming upon the earth, man. So if you're not watching, it's going to catch you like a thief, and immediately you're not going to know what time you're living in. It's not talking about you're not going to know all hell was breaking loose when it says, I'm going to come like a thief, man. Coming like a thief, if you're not watching, you're not going to know the prophecies. Therefore, you can't mark and wage and measure time. Therefore, you won't know the time and that season where the Lord is coming in. You may just think, well, maybe, I'm living in this time. Maybe, maybe we're not in World War III. Maybe this, maybe that. You got to watch so that you could be in season, in the spirit, so that you could better gauge the time. Like it says in Matthew, the 16th chapter. When it is red and lowering, you say it is even, paraphrasing greatly. So you could be able to gauge, that time, which is the sun, right? The season and the time. You'd be like, okay, well, it's about to be even. Like the Lord said, oh, ye hypocrites. If you could discern that, you can't discern the times. So as much as you watch and you look at the sun to be able to see the time, as much as you continuously keep watch so that you're going to know the season the Lord is coming in. What's God?
Con, that's right. Let's go to Revelation, another classic, right? The book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 12. It reads, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So things are speeding up, right? These are beautiful times to be alive. Most High willing, everybody's on the edge of their seat. They're hitting that refresh button. They're watching the prophecies. They're examining their spirits. They're preparing to work without. They're making it fit for themselves in the field. They're building their house. They have plans. They have goals. They have things that they want to achieve to get closer to the Most High. They're purifying their hands. They're purifying their feet. They're purifying their minds because Yahweh Shah is coming quickly, right? Again, the prophecy says when you see these things begin to come to pass, then lift up your head, for your redemption draws nigh. That's that reward that Yahweh Shah is coming with. He's going to give every man according as his work shall be. So this ain't no time to be fainting, passing out, getting weak. You understand? Looking back into the world, getting slothful. Yahweh Shah is on his way to give us everything that we've labored, all of the sacrifices that we've taken, all of the hours we spent rebuking demons, overcoming sins. It's all going to be worth it quickly through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Shah. So with that, we're going to close up, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh Bashim Bashai. Brother Naquam.
Shalom, brother, right.
Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.
Shalom.